Welcome back to the Decent Garage. In today's video, we need to completely finish Long Bed Larry. We have a whole list of stuff to get done. I'll put that list on the screen so you can kind of follow along, but we're just gonna go through knocking everything off the list until it's completely done. So when I bought this truck, I didn't know it at the time, but it came with a Dana 60 rear axle, which really has never been put from the factory behind a Cummins. So I went and picked up a Dana 70 with limited slip differential, same gearing, 410 gearing. So we got to overhaul that axle, get it looking nice so it's presentable for this truck, and swap the axles out. Oh boy, got a little grinder fire going. I think it's just gear. Oh no, it's just because the sparks from the grinder lit the cardboard on fire. So, nothing better than burning gear oil. It just smells great. But anyways, going good. Getting everything cleaned off. Guess we'll put this out. All right, we've got our Dana 70 all cleaned up, repainted and everything. So as we get that axle swapped in, I want to do some maintenance on the other axle as well. So I drained the fluid in the Dana 60 and it was disgusting. So drained it, rinsed it out, we'll put new fluid in there. I drained the fluid in the transfer case. We're gonna put new fluid in there as well. So all of our gears will have fresh fluid. So for seat belts, I got these off of eBay, but obviously I wanted black, and lucky enough, this clip fits into the factory female part of the seat belt. It did come with the female part, but I would rather use the factory one. I think it'll look nice and clean. So let's get these installed. All right, let's give it a whirl. There we go, nice and safe. I like it. So when I installed the charge pipes for the intercooler, if you remember back, I never bead rolled the end of them because I didn't have a bead roller at that point, and I said I'd come back to it. So we are back to it. I borrowed a bead roller from Kevin, so we're gonna pull the charge pipes off, put a bead roll on them, throw them back in, and that way they won't pop off under heavy loads of boost. Well, that bead roller worked pretty well for a cheap bead roller. So let's get this all installed again and these will be done. Pretty Worked pretty well. All right, it's time to talk about the audio setup that we're gonna run in this truck. So I order all my audio stuff for any project from Crutchfield, not sponsored by them, but they do a great job. Everything you need, they send it. So we're gonna go with this Retro Sound Newport deck. So it has kind of an old school look, the classic look, but it actually can take Bluetooth, AM, FM, obviously, aux in. So really any connection we would want besides CDs, but no one uses CDs anymore. So got that. We're gonna run 6x9 kicker speakers in the front doors and then behind the rear seat. So I've got 4 of those and we've got everything else right here to install it. So let's get this installed. All right, we did it. We got all the rear speakers in, both the 6x9s. We got the seat belts in for all 3 seats. Turned out really good. Still have, obviously, all of our space. So now we need to head to the front, put the head unit in and the speakers in the front doors. And then we should be able to call the radio. Good to go. Okay, the wiring was pretty easy. Crutchfield sends the adapter harness. Retro Sound sends their harness. You just wire the colors together. There's a few extra wires that you don't need. And then we've got our ground wire. So, we can give this a little pluggy. There. And there. That's all there is to it, folks. Alright guys, I have been struggling at this for a couple hours. I can say with assurance that this radio, the adapter kit they sell for it, does not fit very well. So I modified it and I've got it to fit perfectly. So let me show you what I did. I'm kind of disappointed. Retro Sound teamed up with Hodson Motors and showed this horrible install video on YouTube. It's like 1.5 minutes long, doesn't show you anything. And in the video, after doing it myself, you can see theirs does not line up properly either. So let me show you what I had to do to get it to line up perfectly. And I'll have to get with Retro Sound and hopefully have them modify their adapter kit because this was a pain. But I got it to work really well. So let me show you what I can here. There's the radio. Sits perfectly. The problem was this was sitting up way too high, and so when I put the bezel in, it covered up this volume text and that little knob on here. And in the Hodson Motor video, they actually pulled this off and lined that knob down underneath and had this completely covered up. I'm not okay with that. If I paid this much money for a stereo, I want it to fit good and look how it's supposed to look. So here's what I had to do. Had to modify the dash just a little bit, right there. The hole for this peg on the adapter to go into. I also elongated the hole for the screw on the adapter to go into as well. So instead of this adapter sitting up here, it actually sits down here. So it moved it about 1/4 inch, but that makes it perfect. And then this is the worst part. So you've got this peg here, lines up. Now normally you've got a peg in this hole and a screw down in that hole. And so what I did is I moved the peg down to that hole and I made a new hole for a screw, which that's how their adapter thing is made. You've got that peg right there to the right, and then the screw hole, and I elongated that. And then it also hits on that little mount for the bezel. So then I had to come in, notch out the adapter piece. I even notched out the frame plastic part of the stereo. Then there were two pieces that were coming off here and here that were hitting, so I cut those off as well. I just used a Dremel for all of this. And so now that clears where that clip goes in for the bezel, and it doesn't hit. It can sit all the way back. We've got the hole for the peg, hole for the screw. Pain in the butt, but I fixed it. I got it. It's gonna sit really well. Let me get it all buttoned up, put the bezel on, and show you how it fits. It bugs me that someone didn't put up a fight a little bit or contact Retro Sound and get them to make it better, because that's the only video out there and it does not fit great in that video. So I'm gonna be the one to make it right. All right guys, quick interjection here. I am here at SEMA at the Retro Sound booth. I just talked to the owner of the company, gave him my feedback. We had some really good conversation. He's actually gonna work with me. We're gonna try and figure out a good solution for these radios and hopefully get it to where it fits better. Because as I was describing it and showing it to him, he's like, yeah, maybe we can't say it fits these trucks if people are gonna run into that. So we're gonna work on a solution, stand by. Just wanted to throw that in here. All right, here's how I got it to fit. Still not perfect, but I didn't have to flip this knob thing around, but the words for the volume you can't see. But it's nice and level, sits in there perfectly. So I think I'll talk to Retro Sound and see if we can make some adjustments to this. My honest opinion is I would not buy this radio yet. It seems like it's not designed well enough for these trucks. So hold off on buying it. I got it to work, but it took me a good 4 or 5 hours. So we've got the rear speakers in, we've got the head unit in. We just need to put our speakers in the front doors and the sound system will be good to go. It's all installed. Let's see how it sounds. Very good. That's one thing checked off the list. That took way longer than I thought it would, but we got it installed. The deck does look really good, but it was a frustrating process getting that put in and having it look right. So, whew, that feels good to have that done. We've made great progress, got that whole stereo system installed. Turned out really good. We've got more stuff to do, but I've got an appointment to get a headliner done in here. And I got to load it up on the trailer, drop it off in the morning. It should take them a couple days. Should look really, really nice. So let's get it loaded up and see how it turns out.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
All right, you guys, I know you're all super excited. I got Long Bid Larry back from the headliner place. It took her 2 days, I think, but she knocked it out of the park. Now, before I show you this, she actually made a template of mine, and she's willing to remake these any type of fabric, any stitch color. This is a crew cab, but I think I could get her the measurements for single and extended cabs as well. take a look at this. It's held on by magnets. I'll show you that. Really, really cool. There it is. Really, really cool. Simple, but looks really nice. I honestly didn't want one that went all the way down here, mainly because they don't make trim for the crew cabs and I don't have any, so I think this looks really good. It still ties the white into everything. It's not completely blacked out. So yeah, if you look here, it's held on by magnets. So you could change it out if you wanted to. The thing I like about it is you can take it out. You can clean up under it. I could add sound deadener behind it and still put it back up there. Really cool idea. So I'll put her contact info in the description. Text or call her. She doesn't have social media, but she did a great job. This was $700. She's going to try and figure out shipping, but expect it to be somewhere around there. So as you've noticed, I think we're kind of getting kind of leaning into this stainless steel thing. We've got this over here, we've got our coolant, we've got our intake, we've got our intake pipe, charge tubes. I like it. I think it looks really clean. So what I did, I went on eBay and got some stainless coolant lines for the heater core. So these should complement everything really nice. And I'll put a link to these in the description if you're interested. But I think this will look really good. I hope it doesn't make a huge mess changing them out, but we'll see. Let's try it. Yeah, that's what I thought. That wasn't very messy at all. Okay, we got the front differential all done, all closed up, got fluid in it. That was pretty easy. Went with royal purple this time, never used it, but should be okay. We got the transfer case all done, filled with fluid, closed up. I did find some rear door panels, so got those painted up. Still waiting on the armrest part, but we can mount these without the armrest for now. And we got to get the rear axle in. But before we do the rear axle, I'm going to do all the brakes on all four corners. So let's do the front ones first, then we'll do the rear ones with the axle just sitting here, and then we'll roll the axle in, and that'll be a huge thing checked off the list. So with the tires off, I've never actually worked on hubs like this. It shouldn't be an issue, obviously, but the rotors and the pads are actually in really, really good shape. Just the rotors are, you know, kind of got some surface rust on them. So being what this truck is, and it's such a good looking truck, we're going to switch the rotors out. I'll check the pads. We'll get stuff painted up. But I mean, these rotors are just fine to save for another truck. Look at that. Got it all wire wheeled, all the old grease cleaned up. Check the kingpins, they look good. The kingpin bushings look good. So that's drying. I've got the hub all cleaned up, got it painted, it's drying. Took it off the rotor. So I'm gonna hop over to the other side and get that torn apart, get that cleaned up while this is drying. And then while that's drying, we'll come back over here and assemble this side. So, looking really good though. Okay, we're losing light pretty fast, but we've made a ton of progress. Got this side pretty much all done. Everything's painted. Turned out really good. So I need to clean and paint the caliper still and mount that back up. But I think it looks really good. I actually reused the old hubs. They're a little beat up, but I really like them. I think they fit the truck perfectly. I just wire wheeled them, and that brushed aluminum look looks really cool on these. So let me know what you think. Let me know. This thing is turning out so cool. Driver's side is all buttoned up as well. It looks really good. So we just have to do the calipers, but we're losing light. So I'm going to do the calipers tomorrow and hopefully the rear axle as well. But that's a lot of work when you have to wire wheel everything, clean it, paint it. If you're just swapping stuff out, it's easy. But if you really go the extra mile and make it look nice, that took all day. But quite satisfying for sure. Well, I was gonna wire wheel these, but there's just a lot of like cobwebs on them, so I'm just gonna get the compressed air and blow them off, but there's no gunk or buildup anywhere, so not gonna need to wire wheel them. So when I took this caliper out, you know, you've got this slide thing that kind of crimps it in there, and there's a spring thing that goes on top of here. There wasn't one when I pulled it out, so a little hold up there. I think I've got one in some of my parts in my storage unit, so I'm gonna run over there and check. Hopefully it's a quick and easy find. All right, so I've almost got this place cleaned out, but let's see. I think this box, tell me it's got the, oh, there it is. There it is. That's what we need right there. So this thing goes on top of there and wedges it in. Perfect. There's another one. And we're back. So yeah, this goes in right in here. Can be a pain in the butt to get it in there, but it's doable. There we go. Okay, we've got the back end jacked up, so we have to take the shocks off. We have to take the last piece of the tailpipe off, and then undo the U-bolts and brake lines, and it should drop right out. I had to jack it up quite a bit because I need the axle to roll out. And you can see I put the jack stands on some 2x4s. I had an OSHA guy stop by and he said that was fine, so we're just gonna roll with it. So let's get this thing out of here. Alright, I got the drum off. My plan, I actually bought new drum shoes. I bought all new hardware for in here. But there's a lot of brake dust in here, but these, someone's done this recently. The hardware's all fairly new. The pads are pretty much new. So I don't see the point in redoing it if someone's been in here. So we'll just clean the drum up, put the drum back on, check the other side, and then get this all thrown back together. But I'm really happy that this looks like it's been done, because changing all these springs and stuff is kind of a pain in the butt. That actually looks really good. Dang, that's crazy. This axle, when I got it, was rough. The fluid looks really good. The brakes were all really done well and recently, so I guess don't judge a book by its cover. Now this rear axle is limited slip, so we have to add our limited slip additive. 1 bottle. All right, the back end is all buttoned up. Got the exhaust back in, the shocks, filled the diff, painted the diff cover. Looks really good. I have a mess to clean up, that's for sure. But I can't throw these wheels on yet because I also forgot that these are 9/16 studs. So I'll have some lug nuts for them tomorrow and then we'll throw the wheels on. And then the brakes, running gear will be all finished up. All right, I've been cleaning up from doing the rear axle. All that's cleaned up, but I'm still going. I want to put the rear door panels on. Got the hardware for them. In the last video, we installed these door panels from 179 Garage. Now these are a great product. I really like them, but I decided to change something up. I went back to the person who did the headliner and I had her make some matching door panels that should tie the headliner in perfectly. So let's get these installed. Take the other ones off, we'll save them for another project, but this should do really good at the overall image of the interior of the truck. Well, Long Bid Larry is pretty much done, except I decided that we're going to do something in this truck that I wasn't planning on. Tomorrow, Joker and I have decided to take a road trip with Long Bid Larry. We're going to go to SEMA for a couple days. Unfortunately, Long Bid Larry did not make it into the SEMA show. It was just too late by the time I finished it. But we're going to go attend it, see some of the stuff, meet some people, and then we're going to continue our road trip down to California. Now this could be really special because Joker has a car that Jay Leno is going to film an episode on his YouTube channel with. So we're going to tow Joker's car to Jay Leno's garage using Long Bid Larry. So I'm pretty shell-shocked to say that Jay Leno is going to see Long Bid Larry. We may have some other stops on the way, so stay tuned for that video. But for the road trip, we have to get one more thing installed. We're going to be towing a trailer on this trip, and unfortunately, I still have not installed a tow hitch on Long Bid Larry. So B&W wanted to help out with this project. They sent out one of their tow-in stows, which I have on the OG crew cab as well, but I needed one with bigger drop because Long Bid Larry is so tall. So we got one of those, and then we also got a B&W receiver hitch. So we're going to install that, we're going to install our tow-in stow, and we have to install a trailer brake controller as well. As soon as those are installed, I think we can say Long Bid Larry is done. All right, let's unbox this thing. There it is, the hitch. Sweet, I didn't know if it was gonna come with all the hardware, and it did. And it came with an envelope. Oh, there's something in the envelope. Oh, instructions. All right. Hitch is all installed. That was super easy. Just had to drill a couple holes. I actually really like how the side plates bolt on to the main part. I don't know why I like that, but I really did like that. So before we start wiring in the trailer brake controller and the 7-way plug, let's grab our B&W tow and stow and see how it looks. Let's install the B&W tow and stow. So I have one of these from my other truck. It's the 7-inch drop, but long bed Larry's a little taller. So I went with a 9-inch. There we go. There's the 9-inch drop tow and stow. This is just how it was packaged with this hung way down here. I'm obviously not going to stow it like that. But the trailer I'm towing on this road trip is a lot lower, so I needed quite a big drop because long bed Larry's lifted. So that's going to work perfect for what we need. Well, it started raining and snowing outside, so I had to clear out the garage, pull long bed Larry in here. So we got to install our trailer brake wiring and our 7-pin plug. And also, some of you guys with a keen eye may have noticed I actually forgot to put a couple washers on our hitch. So I'm going to go back, put those washers on, make sure the hitch is installed perfectly. And then I think the truck is going to be ready to hit the road. So I'm getting ready to wire up the 7-pin plug and everything. I've got everything I need here. If you don't have a factory service manual, this thing is a lifesaver when it comes to wiring. I used to be super intimidated by wiring diagrams, but honestly how I learned is I just stared at them and tried to make sense of it, and finally I understand it. So this is going to be super helpful. We're going to start wiring them into our pigtail, and then we can plug it into our plug, which will hang right here. Almost done. All right, we got it all wired in, so this is kind of nice. The plug goes into where I mounted it, and it's got another plug that this plugs into. Oh yeah, right there. And then we can tuck that right up out of the way. So anyways, that's it. We've got it all wired up. I'll hook up the ground. Should be easy, and should be able to pull a trailer now. Well, we're not quite ready to tow a trailer yet because I forgot I have to put the trailer brake controller in. So this is the one I got. It's a Hopkins Insight. So it's kind of cool. You have this little screen that you mount, and then you have your controller that you mount somewhere else, but then the computer of it mounts behind the dash. So I've got a power wire coming in. I have the wire going back to the trailer plug, and then we'll need a few more wires, probably an accessory wire and something else. So let me get it mounted up. There's just not much room in here to film, but I'll show you how I do it. I think it's going to be pretty slick when it's done. Trailer brake controller is installed. So look at this. Here's my little switchy thing, and here is my screen. So from, if you're driving, just right there, it's perfect. So that's the last thing. We did it. Oh my gosh, today was crazy. But we did it. Well, even though it's kind of a saying that no project is ever finished, Long Bed Larry is as finished as I'm gonna get it. We're taking it on a road trip tomorrow down to SEMA, down to Jay Leno's, and possibly Chip Foose's, which would be amazing. So that'll be the test drive for this. Kind of the break-in period for the engine should be really good for it. Stay tuned. I'm going to vlog the whole trip so you guys can get in on some of the action. And we are going to do a final reveal video for Long Bed Larry, detailing the whole build series that we did and showing off the final product. We'll see you guys in the next one.